In a world that rewards loud voices and bold declarations, there lies a hidden strength in silence, a quiet power that doesn't seek attention but earns respect, a force that doesn't need to announce its plans but lets results speak instead. Today I want to talk about a different kind of power, not the kind that shouts to be seen, but the kind that works in the shadows, builds in silence, and obeys the process without complaint. This is the power of quiet obedience. It's the discipline to show up daily, even when no one's watching. It's the courage to trust your journey without broadcasting every step. And it's the wisdom to understand that silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Because while the world is busy making noise, those who move in silence are busy making moves. Discipline in silence builds unshakable character. This simple yet powerful idea captures a truth that often goes unnoticed in a world dominated by noise, performance, and instant gratification. In the age of social media and constant self-promotion, it can be easy to believe that progress must be advertised, that every step forward needs to be posted, liked, and validated by others. But the reality is that the strongest people, the ones with the most resilience, purpose, and inner strength, often work quietly, away from the spotlight. They embrace the discomfort of routine, the repetition of unseen effort, and the humility of quiet persistence. When discipline is practiced in silence, it transforms from a mere habit into a way of life. It becomes a quiet commitment to one's goals, values, and standards, regardless of who is watching. This silent discipline is not motivated by applause or recognition, but by a deeper desire to grow, improve, and become someone of substance. It is forged in early mornings, late nights, and countless moments of choosing long-term gain over short-term satisfaction. There is something powerful about choosing to rise early, to study, to train, to work, without ever telling the world what you're doing. It builds a kind of inner credibility. You know who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it, and that knowledge becomes unshakable. True character is not revealed in moments of glory, but in moments of solitude, when the only voice pushing you forward is your own, when you continue to show up, to do the work, to hold yourself accountable without the need for validation, you become someone who can be trusted. You become reliable, consistent, and focused. The discipline of silence strips away the need for external motivation and teaches you to rely on your own drive, your own goals, and your own integrity. It removes the temptation to perform for others and centers you in your purpose. Silent discipline teaches patience. It trains your mind to withstand delay and discomfort. In a culture that promotes speed and instant results, it is radical to pursue excellence through consistent, quiet effort. It takes a certain kind of strength to keep going when progress is invisible, when results come slowly, and when no one is cheering you on. But this is where real transformation happens. The long hours, the practice sessions, the study routines, the workouts, the quiet decisions to keep going when no one would blame you for quitting. All of this molds character. You don't just become good at what you do, you become grounded in who you are. When you choose to move in silence, you're no longer performing. You're no longer driven by how things look from the outside. Your energy shifts from image to impact. You begin to focus on results, not recognition. And over time, this focus creates momentum. You build something real, whether it's a skill, a body of work, or a reputation, or a legacy. Silent discipline is what turns potential into power. It is the daily, unglamorous choice to keep moving forward without expecting immediate returns. There is also a certain freedom in this way of living. When you're not constantly broadcasting your moves, you're free to fail, to learn, and to adapt without judgment. You're free to grow at your own pace in your own way without the pressure of external timelines. You protect your energy and your focus. You avoid unnecessary distractions and stay aligned with your deeper goals. And as you continue this practice, you build resilience. You understand your values, that understand what is actually true to you, and don't allow things to get devalued to you. You learn to trust yourself because you've proven over and over again that you can follow through. This is the foundation of unshakable character, knowing deep down that you will not give up on yourself. Discipline in silence also cultivates humility. It teaches you that success is not something to flaunt, but something to carry with grace. You learn that the goal is not to impress others, but to improve yourself. There's a quiet dignity in doing the right thing over and over, even when no one notices. You begin to understand that greatness is not loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. Greatness is built in quiet moments of effort, decision, and sacrifice. And it is through these moments that character is formed. The strength of silent discipline is especially important when you're building something long-term, whether it's a career, a relationship, a business, or a personal goal. The early stages often come with little recognition. There are times when you're putting in the work and seeing no results, when it feels like no one understands what you're doing, or worse, when people doubt you. In those times, it's easy to question yourself. But if you've built the habit of silent discipline, you won't stop. Because you're not working for applause, you're working for progress. You know that every small step, every quiet sacrifice is part of a bigger picture. There is also power in being underestimated. When you keep your plans private and your effort quiet, you avoid unnecessary resistance. You move strategically without attracting attention or judgment. This doesn't mean you hide or live in fear. It means you protect your vision. You give it the time and space it needs to grow strong. You let your actions speak for you, and over time they will. The results of silent discipline are hard to ignore. They may not show up overnight, but when they do, they are undeniable. People may not see your grind, but they will see your growth. One of the greatest benefits of silent discipline is that it builds self-respect. When you hold yourself to a standard, even when no one else would know if you slipped, you send a message to yourself that your goals matter, that you matter. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you strengthen your sense of identity. You become someone you can rely on. That self-trust is more valuable than any external praise. It's what keeps you steady when life gets chaotic, and it's what helps you stay grounded when success finally comes. There's something sacred about the unseen moments of effort, the nights spent working alone, the hours of quiet practice, the early mornings where you choose discipline over comfort. These are the moments that shape you. They are not glamorous, and they rarely come with rewards, but they are the foundation of everything meaningful. Silent discipline teaches you to honor the process, to love the journey, and to stay committed, even when the world is looking elsewhere. In a culture of noise, silence can feel radical, but it is in this silence that clarity emerges. When you strip away the noise of opinions, distractions, and comparisons, you're left with your true self, your values, your goals, and your why. You begin to operate from a place of conviction, not comparison. You focus on what matters, not what's trending. And in doing so, you create a life that is not just impressive on the outside, but deeply fulfilling on the inside. Silent discipline also teaches you to find motivation within. When you're not relying on others to cheer you on or validate your progress, you learn to inspire yourself. You build a kind of inner fire that keeps burning even when the world goes quiet. That kind of motivation is sustainable. It doesn't fade when likes stop coming in or when attention shifts elsewhere. It's rooted in something deeper, your values, your vision, your purpose. Moreover, the practice of silent discipline makes you more grateful. When you've worked hard in silence, you learn to appreciate every step forward. You don't take success for granted because you know what it cost. You don't feel entitled because you've earned everything you have. That gratitude keeps you grounded. It helps you stay humble, hungry, and focused. It reminds you that every win is the result of many unseen efforts. And that's something to be proud of. This way of living also prepares you for leadership. Leaders who have built themselves through silent discipline lead with integrity. They don't just give orders. They embody the standards they set. They've walked the hard road, and others can sense that. There's a depth to their presence, a calm in their demeanor, and a strength in their words that only comes from experience. Silent discipline teaches you to lead by example, not by title. And that's the kind of leadership that truly transforms people and organizations. There will always be moments when staying quiet feels hard, when the temptation to quit, to complain, or to seek attention becomes strong. But if you've trained yourself in silent discipline, you'll have the strength to stay the course. You'll remember that your path is not for show, it's for growth. You'll remember that every challenge is shaping you, and that every time you stay committed in silence, you're building something unshakable. Results speak louder than announcements. This statement holds immense truth in a world where words are often louder than actions, and intentions are mistaken for accomplishments. In the age of instant communication and digital sharing, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that announcing a goal is the same as achieving it. People often feel a sense of fulfillment simply by stating their ambitions out loud, broadcasting plans, or sharing what they're about to do. But there's a clear distinction between talking about success and actually earning it. True achievement is not defined by how many people know what you're doing. It's defined by what gets done and what impact it creates. The real power lies in execution. The difference between those who talk and those who achieve is found in what happens after the announcement. Announcing intentions, making declarations, or setting bold goals publicly may attract attention, But that attention is fleeting unless it is followed by tangible results. Results have permanence. They leave evidence. They don't require explanations, excuses, or marketing. They carry weight because they represent the outcome of action, consistency, and follow-through. While announcements may shape perception for a moment, results shape legacy. When you focus on delivering results instead of making announcements, your credibility grows. People begin to trust your actions more than your words. They see your consistency, your ability to deliver under pressure, your resilience, and your patience. You become someone who doesn't need to explain or defend your process because your outcomes speak on your behalf. There's a quiet power in being known for results. You don't need to boast. You don't need to oversell. You simply produce, and that production builds a reputation that no amount of self-promotion can match. Many people fall into the habit of announcing goals because it brings temporary validation. Saying, I'm going to start a business, I'm writing a book, or I'm getting in shape often brings instant praise. It feels good to be seen as someone ambitious, someone on a mission. But the applause received from making an announcement is not the same as the respect earned from delivering a result. In fact, those early doses of approval can sometimes replace the deeper motivation to do the work. Once the buzz wears off, the grind begins, and that's where many fall short. Focusing on results forces you to confront reality. It pushes you to measure progress not by how many people are watching, but by what you've actually achieved. It makes you accountable to yourself. You start to ask tougher questions. Is what I'm doing working? Am I consistent? What can I do better? These are the questions that drive real progress. They strip away the illusion of activity and bring focus to actual productivity. When you're outcome driven, you can't hide behind plans or promises. You have to show the receipts. This mindset also cultivates humility. When you choose results over announcements, you understand that your work doesn't need to be seen at every stage to be meaningful. You start to value substance over appearance. You no longer seek validation at every checkpoint. Instead, you commit to the process, knowing that the final outcome will be your loudest statement. This approach requires confidence, not arrogance, but a grounded belief in your ability to deliver. It means believing so deeply in your mission that you're willing to be misunderstood, underestimated, or even ignored until your results make it impossible to overlook you. One of the greatest advantages of letting your results speak is that it gives you freedom. You're not bound by the expectations set by your own words. You're free to experiment, fail, learn, and pivot without the pressure of public accountability. This doesn't mean you're hiding or avoiding responsibility. It means you're working strategically, focusing on execution over exposure. It also means you're not wasting energy on convincing others. You're putting that energy into building something that works, something that lasts. People often admire success that seems to come out of nowhere, but what they don't see is the long stretch of time where the individual was working in silence, getting things done without making a show of it. These moments of unseen effort are where excellence is born. The person who trains in private, who works on their craft relentlessly, who refines their ideas quietly, will often emerge with something far more impactful than those who constantly broadcast every move. There is an undeniable power in letting your work speak for you. Letting results take center stage also shifts your focus from performance to progress. You stop measuring success by how things appear and start measuring by how things evolve. Are you improving? Are you solving real problems? Are you getting closer to your goals? These are the metrics that matter. When you stop announcing and start delivering, your identity becomes tied not to what you say, but to what you do. And this creates a deep sense of integrity. You begin to walk your talk, even if you're no longer talking at all. In professional settings, this principle becomes even more critical. Leaders are not respected for their speeches alone. They are respected for the outcomes they drive. Teams follow those who lead by example, who can turn vision into execution. Companies thrive not because of mission statements, but because of consistent delivery. Results prove credibility, capability, and commitment. They remove doubt and silence critics. In business, as in life, those who focus on results gain influence, naturally, not because they demand attention, but because their impact is undeniable. Results also bring clarity. When you operate from a results-first mindset, you start to prioritize differently. You stop doing things for show. You cut out distractions. You focus on what works and let go of what doesn't. You move from being busy to being effective. You begin to make decisions based on data, feedback, and outcomes rather than opinions or trends. This leads to smarter strategies, better use of time, and more meaningful achievement. You stop needing to prove yourself with words and instead start building a track record that proves itself. Choosing results over announcements is also a test of patience. Announcements are quick, results take time. They require consistency, discipline, and endurance. There will be long periods where no one sees what you're doing, and it may feel like nothing is happening, but during those quiet periods, real progress is being made. Skills are being honed, systems are being built, foundations are being strengthened, and when the results finally show, they often surpass what any announcement could have promised. This principle applies to all areas of life. In fitness, you don't need to tell the world about your workout routine. Your transformation will eventually say it all. In relationship, you don't need to announce how committed you are. Your actions, your loyalty, and your consistency will demonstrate it. In personal development, growth doesn't need to be declared. It will be felt by those around you in the way you think, speak, and act. The true proof of change, effort, and growth lies in what you become, not in what you claim. Focusing on results builds internal validation. When you begin to see the effects of your effort, your confidence grows, not because someone told you you're doing great, but because you've proven it to yourself. That kind of confidence is unshakable. It isn't fragile, dependent on likes or applause. It's rooted in evidence, in outcomes, in facts. And from that foundation, you become more powerful. You move differently. You no longer need permission or approval. You know what you're capable of because you've lived it. So there's a simplicity in this mindset that cuts through complexity. It reminds you that the noise is not what matters, the results are. You can spend days planning, months talking, or years dreaming, but unless action is taken and results are achieved, it all remains theoretical. Action is the bridge between intention and impact. Results are the proof that you walked the bridge. They show that you didn't just mean well, you did well. And that difference is everything. Even in creative or innovative work where expression matters, the final product will always carry more weight than the process behind it. An artist is judged by their art, a writer by their words on the page, an entrepreneur by the business they build. It's not enough to have potential. It's the realization of that potential that creates impact. And that realization only comes through focused action and execution. Choosing results over announcements also helps you maintain momentum. When you stop looking for recognition at every step, you start finding motivation in progress itself. You become self-sustaining. Each completed task, each milestone hit becomes fuel for the next. You don't need to stop and explain, you just keep building. Over time, this compound effort leads to breakthroughs. What once seemed out of reach becomes your new normal. And when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't the announcements that got you there, it was the work. In every field, the people who truly make a difference are those who show up consistently, execute with excellence, and let the results do the talking. They may not always be the loudest in the room, but they're the ones who move the needle. They understand that words can be forgotten, but results are remembered. They know that promises can be broken, but proof is undeniable.